Movement. It's October 28, 2016. I'm just giving you a rundown. This is part one, exposing Vladimir Putin. We're going to be doing a lot of parts to show who this guy really is. Alright. He is a puppet of the New World Order. Even though it seems like he's against America, they're all. Russia's part of the IMF. Japan's part of IMF. They're all part of the One World Order. And I'm going to review and show you guys what the One World Order is in a future video. But right now I'm going to expose a little bit about Putin and his mind game. And we're going to actually do a documentary on Putin. I'm also going to be exposing Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and exposing the people in this New World Order, from the presidents to dictatorships, to show you that we're already in the New World Order. Alright, folks. But I'm showing you these major players. So first off, this is an article. It's called Putin's Dangerous Game in the Baltics. Alright. And they're talking about how Putin is trying to regain the Baltics. Before the Soviet Union collapsed in 91, the Baltics region was part of the Soviet Union. Georgia, Crimea, Ukraine, Lithuania, a lot of countries. All right, but now they got the Baltic region is fear. Even NATO is fear, because in this article they're talking about, and I already made a video, how Russia is moving missiles between Poland and Lithuania and putting nuclear missiles there. All right. So we're gonna get into the mindset of Vladimir Putin. All right, Vladimir Putin, all right, wants to regain all the Baltic countries. In the past few years, we're seeing him finally using power to get Georgia, Crimea, Ukraine. Now he's setting up missiles between Poland and Lithuania, and NATO is doing drills around there. Finland, Sweden signed United States agreements. Sweden did in June. Finland is trying, and the Norwegian region is trying to do the same thing. Also the Baltic states, all right, because they're afraid that Vladimir Putin will raid their country and reclaim what the Soviet Union once was. Even though it ain't going to be the Soviet Union, this is a new age, this is a new government. Alright, so let's get into it. Who's Vladimir Putin? Alright, Vladimir Putin lived a successful life in Russia. Alright, Vladimir Putin, we're going to get deeper into it, but he was born on October 7, 1952. He's the acting president of the Russian Federation, holding the office since May 7, 2012. Before that, he was the prime minister from 2008 to 2008 to 2012 as the prime minister, and before that, from 2000 to 2008, he was the president, and before that, he was a president for a few days before the election, when the first president, Boris Yeltsin, resigned. All right, folks. During his first presidency, the Russian economy grew for 8 straight years, and a GDP measure in percentage power increased by 72%. The growth was a result of the 2000 commodity boom, high oil prices, prudent economy, official policies, and so everyone liked Putin in Russia and still do. All right. Before was the president and was in it, he started his career off as a KGB. In 1975, Putin joined the KGB and trained at 401 First KGB School in Okata, St. Petersburg. After training, he worked in the second chief director, counterintelligence, before he was transferred to first chief director, where he monitored foreigners and counselors of officials in St. Petersburg. So he spied on foreigners and people from major countries that were leaders and counselors, and from 1985 to 1990. He served in Dresden, East Germany, and used a cover identity as a translator. And when he was going to school, he learned German. All right, and he could speak German very, very fluently. All right, and it says right here, Putin studied German at St. Petersburg High School 281 and speaks German fluently. And we're going to get into why these world leaders and the New World Order could speak German, and why a lot of these German ancestry, because we could look at his parents who, they're Russian, they got German blood in them. The Bavarian Illuminati, the Bavarian bloodline. Alright, so Putin was part of the KGB. So he has a belief in the KGB. He worked as a KGB for 16 years. Alright, and used a cover identity as a translator. And then when the fall of the Berlin Wall happened, that began on November 9, 1989, he burned all the KGB files to prevent demonstrating from obtaining them. So people from obtaining them. After the collapse, he went back to St. Petersburg in June 91. He worked international affairs section and reported to Vice Rector Yor. There he looked for new KGB, so he's recruiting new KGB recruits before it all fall. And then August the 20th, Putin resigned with the rank of lieutenant colonel in the KGB. All right, that's pretty high. He was one of the highest people in the KGB. All right. Now, as we look down at his political career, in 1996, Sovet lost his bid for re-election in St. Petersburg. Putin was called to Moscow, and in June 96 became a deputy chief of the Presidential Property Management Department, headed by Pavel Borden. He occupied this position until March 97. During his tenure, Putin was responsible for foreign property of the state and organized transfer of former assets of the Soviet Union and the Communist Party back to the Russian Federation. So, he organized all the assets that used to be the Soviet Union Communist Party back to Russia. Alright, so that's a trait. Everything that used to be the Soviet Union, he wants it back. Alright, just like the Baltic region. That's why he invaded Georgia. That's why Crimea, when they did the vote, Ukraine, and now Lithuania, Poland, they got the nuclear bomb. He's trying to regain the power of the old Soviet Union. Alright, and as we scroll down, Putin created on December 31st, December 1999, Yeltsin unexpectedly resigned. And according to the Constitution of Russia, Putin became acting president of Russia Federation. On assuming the role, Putin went on previously scheduled to visit Russian troops in Chechnya. And, they're on the verge of controlling that. Well, they did control it, but they had to let it go. But they still support Chechnya. And that's part of the Baltics. The first presidential decree that Putin signed on December 31st, 1999 was titled On Guarantees for Former President of the Russian Federation Membership of His Family. Alright? And they talk about the presidential election. We're going to get more into Putin's past. The first presidential election, how he had a bad thing, alleged mishandling of one of the submarine disaster. But he was a president all the way up to 2008. And then 2008 to 2012, he was the prime minister. And then 2012, he was reelected as the president of Russia. He's the longest, he's been in office the longest since the Soviet Union was disbanded as president. Putin runs Russia. Alright? So we're going to scroll down. On March 14, 2004, Putin was elected again, and in the 2005 National Party Project were launched to improve Russia's healthcare, education, housing, and agriculture. So he's helping out Russia pretty good, and the people like it. 86% of people like it. All right, and then they talk about the third term of presidency, how he did different stuff. So back to the Baltics. In 2014, the Ukraine Revolution, Putin ordered Russian troops to seize Crimea from Ukraine. By March the 2nd, Russian troops had completely control over Crimea. Alright? And that's still an ongoing conflict. Russia does claim Crimea as part of that. They're trying to gain Ukraine as part of that. They're trying to still control Georgia. Alright? They're trying to get all the Baltic regions. And I just keep on repeating it. Alright? So his mindset is to bring back basically the Soviet Union. Not the Soviet Union. They ain't going to be called the Soviet Union. Vladimir Putin basically made the Russian Federation. This is a whole different kind of government. You could run, if you're going to run for president, and this link's going to be at the bottom, but if you're going to run for presidency, you only could run 2 consecutive terms once. So you could run 2 times, win 2 elections, and then drop out, let someone else control, but it doesn't have, you only can run 2 times at once. So the president election is for 6 years. You can run for president, you're president for 6 years, and then you can be re-elected for another 6 years. So after 12 years, you got to give up the seat for a minute, and then that's why you had the other dude from 2008 to 2012, his right-hand man, and he was the prime minister at the time, controlling stuff behind the scene. But then 2012, he became the president again, and Dmitry became his, it goes back and forth, back and forth. So Vladimir Putin is in absolute control. He invented the party system. He invented the new constitutions. He invented all this different stuff, all right? Now, a lot of news reports say that Russia is weak. All right, well, like I said, this is just a skim through because I'm going to bring you some deep information on who Vladimir Putin. He could speak German. He was in Germany as a KBG spy. He's bringing back the KGB. He wants the Baltic region, and we're on the verge of World War III. Russia military. The Russian military is divided. This is 2016 now. The Russian military is divided into ground forces, navy, and air forces. There are also 3 independent arms of service: strategically missile troops, aerospace defense force, and the airborne troops. In 2006, the military had 1.037 million personnel on active duty. It is mandatory for all male citizens aged 18 to 27 to be drafted for a year of service in the armed forces. Russia has the largest, let me repeat this, Russia has the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the world. It has the second largest fleet of ballistic missile submarines and is the only country apart from the United States with modern strategic bomb forces. Russia tank forces is the largest in the world. Its surface, navy, and air forces are among the largest one. The country also has the largest and fully indigenous armed industry, producing most of its own military equipment. So Russia produces its own military equipment still to this day, with only a few types of weapon imported. Russia is one of the world's top supplier of arms, a spot it has held since 2001. So when Vladimir Putin was in office, Russia's military is one of the top suppliers of arms around the world, accounting for around 30% of worldwide weapons sale and exporting weapons to about 80 countries. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institution found that Russia was the second biggest exporter of arms in 2010 to 2014, increased their export by 37% from the period 2005 to 2009. In 2010 to 2014, Russia delivered weapons to 56 states and to the rebel forces in eastern Ukraine. The Russian government published 2014 military budget is about 2.4 trillion rubles, or $69.3 billion, the third largest in the world. All right, folks, and it keeps on growing. The rest, they said as 2014, the budget is way much higher and is the second biggest. According to 2012 Global Peace Index, Russia is the 6th least peaceful out of 162 countries. So out of 162 countries, Russia is the 6th least peaceful country. All right, so when these news talk about Russia's military is weak, Russia has the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Russia has the second largest fleet of ballistic missile submarines, and they keep on revealing new submarines like the Stealth Fighters. They just reveal they're going to become the world's biggest ballistic missiles with submarines. Other than us in the United States, they're the only country with modern strategic bomb forces. Russia tank forces is the world's largest. They make all their weapons, 80% of their weapons, and they export to a lot of countries. So they make a lot of revenue from the military budget. And as of 2014, Russia's military budget is higher than all the European nations combined. All right, so Russia's a very, very strong country, folks. And we're going to get deeper into this. This is just part one. This is just the intro. We're going to show you how Vladimir Putin's ideal. He wants to reinvent the Soviet Union. Not underneath the Soviet Union flag, but underneath the Federation of Russia, folks. Alright. He's been in presidency or prime minister since 1999. Before that, he got all the Soviet Union's assets back to Russia. When he was the president, the first 8 years, the GDP, the money in Russia, gain. People love him, alright, folks? And the majority of people in Russia want Russia to reform its Soviet Union identity. During the Soviet Union, Russia had the world's largest standing army. Now it's the third world's largest standing army. Military troops on ground with feet, boots on ground. They got the world's biggest tank division. They got the world's most nuclear arms, and they're preparing for World War III. And Vladimir Putin is part of the KGB, and the KGB don't take no shit. And that's for real. They're cold-blooded. Alright, so I want everyone out there, be prepared. This is just part one. This is the No Face Movement. Movement until the next time. Please rate, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook. This is the movement. Until next time. Facing off.